But how do we avoid wasting time, energy, and effort in social media marketing? Well, the very first thing we need to do is make sure that we are focused on just one social channel at a time. And the reason why I say this is many businesses that I've worked with, and again, I've also fallen into this trap of just being everywhere, right? That you just want to be available. And now with social scheduling tools, it's easier than ever to just have all of your content be pushed out across many different channels. But here's the problem. Ever feel like your marketing budget is stretched too thin while you're trying to make a big splash? Today, we're unlocking the secret sauce to high impact, low cost marketing channels that promise massive returns without breaking the bank. Welcome back to the Scalable Marketing Machine, the podcast where we dive deep into strategies that turn marketing dollars into real results. I'm your host, Victoria Hajar, and today we're about to embark on a journey to uncover the secret weapons of the marketing world, channels that promise the biggest bang for your buck without draining your wallet. Imagine this. You're a founder with a vision and passion and a tight marketing budget. You know you need to get the word out about your amazing product or service, but you're afraid and you're overwhelmed because there's so many marketing channels to choose from. So where do you invest your precious dollars to get the most bang for your buck? Well, that is exactly what we're talking about in today's episode. And we're going to talk about 5 marketing channels that you can invest your time, energy, and effort into that's going to give you the highest return of your investment. So 5 marketing channels that are going to give you the biggest ROI bang for your buck. So the first one is content marketing. So if you're not already leveraging content marketing, you are missing out in one of the most powerful budget-friendly channels that are available. Now, I do want to caveat this with the fact that content marketing, when done incorrectly or not done strategically, could be a huge drain of time, energy, and effort. And one of the mistakes that I've made, and a lot of other people that I see making with content marketing, is kind of just putting the train, like setting the train on its way, and not necessarily being strategic enough with the content as trends and algorithms change. So for me, and this is something that I had to catch myself with a couple months ago, actually, is that, if you're not constantly checking in with your strategy and keeping up with trends, not A/B testing, you're going to find that your content is just simply not effective enough. So when we talk about leveraging content marketing, it can be an incredibly effective tool and really great in driving leads and sales, but only if you give it the time, energy, and attention that it needs. Okay, it's not effective enough to just set a strategy, maybe the same strategy that you've been using for years and years, and just expect it to keep producing the same results, right? We need to be checking in with our content marketing strategy constantly and making sure that we're keeping on top of not only industry trends, but the ways that things change, right? So when we talk about content marketing, we're talking about blogs, we're talking about any videos that you're using, any downloadables, lead magnets that you have. This is such a wonderful way in which you can add value. But again, things like, how to be structuring your blog posts, for example, have changed tremendously with AI in the past couple of years, right? What is going to give you the best bang for your buck is really keeping on top of what's going on in the market, right? So it's not just like a set it and forget it, because writing blogs in 2015 is quite different than it is in 2024, for example. So you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping track with how everything is changing and making sure that your team is doing that as well. So a lot of marketing things we tend to delegate that, right, to virtual assistants or marketing managers, and we expect that they're staying on top of these trends, but that's not necessarily the case. So now we're going to talk about the next on our list, which is social media marketing, right? So I'm differentiating that a little bit from content marketing. Content marketing is going to be your overarching strategy, which you can implement into all of these various things that I'm talking about. And again, we want to make sure that we're up to date with what's trending, right? Now, if we kind of go into more nuance of that content marketing strategy, we want to make sure we're focusing obviously on social media marketing. But how do we avoid wasting time, energy, and effort in social media marketing? Well, the very first thing we need to do is make sure that we are focused on just one social channel at a time. And the reason why I say this is many businesses that I've worked with, and again, I've also fallen into this trap of just being everywhere, right? That you just want to be available. And now with social scheduling tools, it's easier than ever to just have all of your content be pushed out across many different channels. But here's the problem. What I tend to see, and I've seen this in my own business, is that when you're simply just pushing things out across all different channels, is that you're not actually getting traction on any of those channels, right? So what I suggest, especially for the B2B businesses that I work with, who tend to not be maybe, focused on lifestyle as part of their content strategy, right? A lot of time my B2B clients kind of scratch their heads what they should be doing with social media marketing. Social media marketing can be incredibly effective for B2B. I'm here on LinkedIn. This is where I record the podcast on LinkedIn Lives every week. I love LinkedIn as a social platform, but B2B businesses can do incredibly well on TikTok, on Instagram, right? It's just about where do you put your time, energy, and effort, and how strategic you are in the content that you create. So one thing that I would say is make sure that you know what growth looks like on one platform before you start trying to grow on all of the platforms. And one of the summer reading books that I always recommend is Gary Vee's newest book that's called Day Trading Attention. Really goes into the nuances of what it takes to win on social media. And one of the things that he advises, which is one of those obvious things that honestly I hadn't really thought that much about, is really getting to know the platform that you choose as your sort of main platform inside and out. Know all the ways in which you are sharing content on that platform, all of the tools that are available to you on the platform, what content is working or not working. Make sure that you or a dedicated person on your team is not only pumping out content on that social platform, but spending time being actually social on the platform, right? Connecting with people or following people, being in the comments, not only replying to comments on your post, but actually going and being social on with other brands and with prospects, right? There's this social component that I think many of us that haven't experienced massive growth on social channels can also be linked back to the idea of not putting in the time to be actually social on the platforms. The platforms pay you back. The algorithm pays you back if you actually use the social platforms as a social platform. And I think with the inception of so many of these scheduling tools, we've gotten really disconnected from what these social platforms are all about, right? Which is they want you to be on the platform. They don't want you to just be you or your brand just to be posting and leaving, right? The way that you're going to be rewarded by the social platform, and all of these platforms work the same, is by actually putting in the time to grow. And this means you, yourself, or a dedicated person on your team showing up for 1 to 2 hours on the platform every single day in order to build that momentum. This is just the work that it takes. And honestly, it's something that I didn't realize till quite recently, right? And back in the day, I think there was a moment where you could set it and forget it, and you could just be showing up and just merely pumping out content and showing up was enough. But unfortunately, nowadays, that's not enough, right? Social media is so, I think is so inundated. There's so many brands. There's so many companies that are vying for our attention and advertising to us, that the truth of the matter is that not only do we need a killer content marketing strategy, but we need better content, and we actually need to utilize these platforms, be physically present, right? Either you or a dedicated person on your team, in order to see the results, right? Not just growth results, but also opening up those opportunities and those leads. Okay, so first, we want a killer content strategy, right? Overarching. Number two, leveraging social media marketing. The third one is email marketing. Now, email marketing is often underestimated. I think people tend to have some mixed feelings about email marketing. A lot of founders that I work with inside of the Scalable Marketing Machine Accelerator, which is my one-to-one program where I work with founders to help scale their businesses from 6 to 7 figures. A lot of the founders that I work with there, they still hold on to this idea that they don't want to bother people. So I don't want to send too many emails. Maybe they don't personally like receiving emails, so they don't, again, this notion of bothering people. But the reality is, and statistics, I've seen different statistics, but prospects need to see your brand and kind of hear your elevator pitch. I believe it's upwards of 12 times before it even starts registering in their mind that connection between their problem and your solution. Like, our attention span is so short. I think actually I read something recently that our attention span has now become shorter than that of a goldfish. This may be like fake news, but anyway, I believe it. I believe it because we are so inundated with messages over and over and over again from brands, and we're constantly kind of scanning the room to find that value. I don't know if you've seen this shift. I think in the past like 2 years, where we've really become the way that we consume content is a little bit different, right? In the past, we used to be more about following individual people or following individual brands, right? And that's kind of what we would be served on social media. But nowadays, algorithms are serving us things that they think that we're interested in, right? And you're going to get a lot of the same type of content, right? So me on Reels or on YouTube Shorts, for example, it's so easy to see, and do this for yourself or just pay attention is when you open it. I keep getting served the same stuff. I love recipes, so I'm just tons of recipes. I love interior design. I get a ton of that. I will occasionally find myself watching, restoration of furniture and stuff like that. And that's all I see. That is all I see because the algorithm sees that that's what I'm interested in. They keep serving it to me. So what does that mean for you for social? That means that you need to be very intentional about what kind of value-based content that you're sharing with your audience. You want it to be consistent and constantly mapping that value to the questions, the problems that your prospect has. And again, making sure that your content is valuable, right? So going back to email marketing, what does that mean for email marketing? So this idea of not wanting to bother people, I think is a little bit irrelevant because, if people don't want to hear from your brand, they're going to unsubscribe. And you can see product-based companies, if you subscribe to Target or J.Crew or whatever, you're going to get emails every single day, maybe even multiple times a day, right? And the fact of the matter is that there's going to be folks that either keep it in their inbox or they unsubscribe. Or maybe there's a lot of folks that keep it in their inbox and they just delete. And I love to share this little juicy tidbit, this pro tip. I really believe that having that email in the inbox is so important, regardless if people click and open it and even click into it. You have to think of the inbox as being almost like a billboard. So when your email shows up with your company name, it's almost just like an advertisement placement, right? Deleting that email is still a positive action as long as they don't unsubscribe, right? And the way that you keep people subscribed to your emails is that you want to be offering real value in those emails. And emails still perform incredibly well. It's a more intimate place where you can build relationships with folks. And it's also a place where you make direct sales and get direct leads. Social media, we can't just rely on it because each of those individual platforms, and when you're talking about, whether you're talking about Instagram or TikTok or even LinkedIn, the real business objective of all of those companies is to keep us on the platform. That's why we have a lot of barriers to entry when it comes to posting links on, we can only have one link on a post a lot of times, or we can only have one link on our profile because the platform actually doesn't want us jumping off the platform a bunch of times to go to a website, right? But email is a place where you can have really targeted messaging and you can send people exactly where you want them to go. You can actually control that journey beautifully, that buyer's journey through your email content marketing strategy. And email is very, very low cost. If done well, it could be very effective. And that's the caveat to all